The impact of the USAID cuts extended far beyond Ghana's coastlines, reaching into the heart of the nation's healthcare system, food security, and the aspirations of its youth. USAID's support for Ghana's healthcare system, particularly in areas like maternal and child health, HIV/AIDS prevention and treatment, and malaria control, has been instrumental in improving health outcomes and saving lives. The funding cuts threaten to reverse these gains, leaving vulnerable populations at risk. The cuts also jeopardized food security initiatives aimed at boosting agricultural productivity and improving nutrition, particularly in rural communities. USAID supported programs focused on providing farmers with access to improved seeds, fertilizers, and modern farming techniques were disrupted, raising concerns about food shortages and price hikes. Furthermore, the suspension of youth development programs, which provided vocational training and entrepreneurial support, threatened to derail the aspirations of a generation eager to contribute to Ghana's progress. The USAID funding cuts sparked outrage and dismay across Ghana, igniting a fierce debate about the country's relationship with the United States and the future of its development agenda. Civil society organizations, community leaders, and ordinary citizens voiced their concerns, condemning the cuts as a betrayal of a long-standing partnership and a devastating blow to Ghana's progress. The Ghanaian government, caught off guard by the sudden policy shift, scrambled to mitigate the damage. President Mahama, a vocal critic of the cuts, emerged as a powerful voice, denouncing the Trump administration's decision as short-sighted and counterproductive. He argued that the cuts would not only harm Ghana but also undermine U.S. interests in the region, pushing African nations towards alternative partners and jeopardizing decades of diplomatic and development efforts. Section 6, A New Dawn, Seeking Alternative Partnerships. The USAID funding crisis forced Ghana to confront a difficult reality. The era of unquestioning reliance on Western aid was over. This sudden shift in the financial landscape prompted a nationwide introspection, urging leaders and citizens alike to rethink their approach to development and sustainability. President Mahama, seizing the opportunity to chart a new course for Ghana, called for a shift towards self-reliance and diversification of partnerships. He emphasized the importance of building a resilient economy that could withstand external shocks and reduce dependency on foreign aid. He urged African nations to strengthen regional cooperation, boost intra-African trade, and explore new alliances with emerging economies like China, India, and Brazil. By fostering these relationships, Mahama believed that Africa could create a more balanced and equitable global economic system. Mahama's vision resonated with many across the continent who saw the USAID cuts as a wake-up call and an opportunity to break free from the shackles of neocolonialism. This sentiment was particularly strong among the youth, who were eager to see a future where Africa could stand on its own feet. The crisis also sparked a renewed focus on domestic resource mobilization, with calls for greater transparency and accountability in the management of public funds. This shift aimed to ensure that every CDI was used effectively to benefit the Ghanaian people. Ghana, once heavily reliant on foreign aid, began to explore innovative financing mechanisms, such as diaspora bonds and public-private partnerships, to fund its development priorities. These new strategies were seen as vital steps towards achieving long-term economic independence and sustainable growth. The journey was challenging, but the spirit of innovation and resilience was palpable across the nation. Section 7, The Legal Battle, A Glimmer of Hope. While the political and diplomatic fallout from the USAID cuts played out on the world stage, a quieter battle was being waged in the courtrooms of the United States. Civil society organizations, joined by concerned citizens and legal experts, challenged the legality of the Trump administration's actions, arguing that the abrupt funding freeze violated U.S. law and undermined the country's global commitments. The legal challenge, though complex and fraught with uncertainty, offered a glimmer of hope for Ghana and other nations affected by the aid cuts. If successful, it could force the Trump administration to reverse its decision and restore funding for critical development programs. However, the outcome of the legal battle remained uncertain, leaving Ghana in a precarious position, caught between the hope of a favorable ruling and the harsh reality of a rapidly changing global landscape. Section 8. The Price of Disengagement, Lessons for the World. The USAID funding crisis in Ghana served as a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of our world and the ripple effects of unilateral actions. The cuts, driven by a narrow, inward-looking agenda, threatened to unravel decades of progress in global development and undermine the very foundations of international cooperation. The crisis highlighted the human cost of political expediency, demonstrating how vulnerable communities bear the brunt of decisions made in distant capitals. The situation in Ghana also underscored the importance of sustainable development, a model that balances economic growth with social progress and environmental protection. The USAID cuts, by jeopardizing programs focused on healthcare, education, environmental conservation, and sustainable livelihoods, threaten to undermine this delicate balance, pushing vulnerable communities further into poverty and jeopardizing the planet's health. Section 9. Charting a new course. Ghana's uncertain future. As Ghana navigated the turbulent waters of the USAID funding crisis, the path forward remained uncertain. The country faced a pivotal moment, one that demanded both resilience and innovation. The crisis, while devastating in its immediate impact, presented an opportunity for Ghana to redefine its development trajectory, to move beyond aid dependency and chart a course towards self-reliance and sustainable prosperity. The road ahead would be challenging, requiring difficult choices, bold leadership, and unwavering commitment from all segments of society. However, Ghana, with its proud history, vibrant democracy, and indomitable spirit, possessed the resilience and ingenuity to overcome this challenge and emerge stronger, more self-reliant, and more determined to build a brighter future for its people.